No bullets, no blood, only fear. Fear that stopped the entire world. The year was 1945. The world had just survived the deadliest war in human history. Cities lay in ashes. Millions were dead. Yet even before the smoke cleared, a new kind of war was beginning. One that would never be fought on battlefields, but in the shadows of fear, secrets, and power. The Cold War. Scene 1. The rise of two superpowers. Out of the ruins of World War II, two giants emerged. The United States, armed with democracy and capitalism, a land of freedom, industry, and innovation. And the Soviet Union, under Joseph Stalin, a fortress of communism, discipline, and iron control. Both had fought on the same side during the war, but peace revealed their true differences. The United States believed in individual freedom, private enterprise, and open societies. The Soviets envisioned a world where the state owned everything, where equality meant control. Two ideologies, opposite poles of human belief, now faced each other like two loaded guns. Scene 2. The fear begins. The war had ended with a flash, the atomic bomb. Hiroshima and Nagasaki had shown the world a new kind of horror. And now every nation knew one truth: whoever controlled the bomb controlled the world. In 1949, the Soviet Union detonated its first atomic bomb. The impossible had happened. America was no longer alone. Fear swept across both nations. Schools began duck and cover drills. Families built bomb shelters in their backyards. The sky itself became a symbol of danger. Any plane, any shadow could mean annihilation. It wasn't just a race of weapons, it was a race of nerves. Scene 3. The Battle of Beliefs. The Cold War wasn't fought with armies, it was fought with influence. Every country in the world became a potential ally or a potential threat. The United States formed NATO, uniting Western democracies under one defense pact. The Soviets responded with the Warsaw Pact, bringing Eastern Europe under their Iron Curtain. From Berlin to Budapest, from Korea to Vietnam, the struggle for influence tore nations apart. People didn't just choose sides, they were born into them. Scene 4. The Iron Curtain and the Berlin Wall. Europe became the front line. Germany, once the heart of the Nazi Empire, was now divided. East under Soviet control, West under the Allies. And in 1961, that division became concrete: the Berlin Wall. Families separated overnight. Friends became strangers. Soldiers stood watch, rifles ready, while loved ones waved across barbed wire and concrete. The wall wasn't just a barrier of bricks. It was a symbol of fear, of mistrust, of a world split in two. Scene 5. The Age of Spies and Secrets. When you can't fight openly, you fight in the shadows. The Cold War gave birth to the greatest spy era in history. The CIA in the West and the KGB in the East both played the most dangerous game of deceit. Microfilms hidden in soda cans, messages concealed in radio broadcasts, double agents who lived entire lives in disguise. No one could be trusted, not even your neighbor. The war had moved from the battlefield to the living room. Scene 6. The Cuban Missile Crisis, when the world stopped breathing. October 1962. American spy planes discovered Soviet missiles in Cuba, just 90 miles from Florida. President JFK faced the unthinkable. Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev had placed the world on a knife's edge. For 13 days, humanity held its breath. Every radio broadcast, every whisper, every headline carried the same fear: nuclear war. American warships surrounded Cuba. Soviet ships sailed closer. One wrong move could have ended civilization itself. Then, silence. Through secret back-channel negotiations, the Soviets agreed to withdraw their missiles. The world exhaled. The planet had survived. Barely. But fear didn't stop competition. It only pushed it higher. In 1957, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik, the first artificial satellite, a beeping metal sphere circling Earth, a signal that the Soviets were winning. Panic rippled through America. Within years, President Kennedy vowed, "We choose to go to the moon." The space race became a symbol of pride, technology, and ideology. Then, in 1969, Apollo 11 landed on the moon. Neil Armstrong stepped onto the lunar surface and spoke words that echoed across history. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. For a moment, the Cold War looked up, not in fear, but in wonder. Scene 8. The Proxy Wars. The Cold War never turned hot between the superpowers, but elsewhere fire raged. Korea, Vietnam, Afghanistan. In each of these wars, the US and the Soviet Union fought indirectly, arming opposing sides, shaping nations, and leaving millions dead in their struggle for dominance. The world had become a chessboard, and human lives were the pieces. Scene 9. The Fall of the Soviet Union. By the 1980s, the Cold War had dragged on for decades. Both sides were exhausted. Nuclear arsenals had grown large enough to destroy the Earth many times over. Then came Mikhail Gorbachev, a reformer. He introduced glasnost, openness, and perestroika, restructuring. But it was too late. In 1989, the Berlin Wall fell. East and West Germans climbed over, breaking concrete with bare hands, crying and laughing under the same sky. It was the end of a world divided. 2 years later, in 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed. The red flag with the hammer and sickle came down for the last time. The United States had won, but it wasn't victory that filled the air. It was relief and sorrow. Scene 10. The Legacy of Fear. The Cold War ended, but its scars remain. Nuclear weapons still exist, silent, waiting. Nations still spy, still mistrust, still fear. The invisible war of ideology left behind an invisible wound, one that still shapes our politics, our technology, our world. And even now, in moments of global tension, you can still feel it, that same breathless silence, as if the world once again stands still. Closing line. Reflection. The Cold War may have ended, but its shadow still haunts the world we live in today.